Viking 1 to all gunships. Nav point reached. Proceed to your designated LZs. Over.
Viking 5, roger that. Viking 1, breaking formation.
Viking 4, solid copy. Viking 1, balls to the wall.
This is Viking 3, breaking off towards the objective. Copy on to rights.
Viking 1 to Viking 2. Hold up. Intel says your LZ's been overrun. Change course and drop with Viking 3. Over.
Viking 2, roger. Changing course. We're forming on your wing, Viking 3. Over.
This is unit leader to all herds. Expect heavy resistance at your drops. Lock and load in area R.
Hello everyone, I'm Dar, and today I'm very excited to finally unveil and present a project that I've been a part of for the past 2 years. The animation you just saw was merely a test, a teaser of the many things yet to come from Vilisons Productions. So, roughly a couple of years ago, I was sent an offer to join and help work on an animated sci-fi web series, solely as a composer. However, things wound up really clicking, and since then I've become very deeply involved with many aspects of Vilisons Productions, not just audio. Now, while I could sit here and excitedly talk about how cool Projekt Yggdrasil is all by myself, I figured I'd do something a bit different. Joining me today is Vilison, the founder and visionary of Vilisons Productions. Mr. Vilison, thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you for having me, man. How's it going?
Goes good.
Good. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It sure has. Now, we both know that Projekt Yggdrasil is a very vast topic. It's a very one hell of a big can of worms to open up and to dive into. But I think a good place to start would be from the very beginning. Tell the audience about where Projekt Yggdrasil first started, and what inspired you to create such a rich, sort of endless sci-fi universe.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it started really young for me. I was in middle school, played a bunch of games. I was obsessed with Star Wars and Halo, and at the time I didn't have an Xbox, so Halo was more of something that I'd be playing at my friend's house and whatnot. I played Resistance, Fall of Man at the time. That's what really kicked it off. Didn't really have a lot of things like as far as like the grand scheme that we have nowadays, but it just started off with me ripping off of Resistance Fall of Man, just doing my own little fanfic of that, and then eventually it slowly turned and evolved into what we have now. Throughout the years, I just kept adding on to it and just coming up with some random stuff here and there, thinking it was, oh, this is really cool. I wonder if we do this and that, and wasn't the artist at the time. I was more of the lore guy. I just thought of coming up with some cool stuff and just doing some really bad doodles. But eventually, after I moved from middle school, I got to high school. I was still working on it, writing some stuff here and there. I was still doing a lot of Halo fanfic too. Probably have more Halo fanfic written than anything else, and it's kind of embarrassing because I'm pretty sure it's trash. But yeah, no, like the roots did start in middle school, and it didn't have the essence as it has, like the historical essence, the Germanic and the Nordic stuff. That came separate, right? I was obsessed with it just because it was really cool. Like, oh man, these Nordic deities, it was really cool. Like the old Vikings and how they're powerful warriors and whatnot. Eventually, in high school, I started fusing the two together, which is also when I met my friend Richard, who's the co-creator. He had his own universe too, and we'd spend a lot of time. He'd ask me some questions about his universe, and then we'd pretty much go back and forth. Long story short, helping each other out, build each other's universe. Eventually, he kind of dropped his and fused some of the ideas that he had for his universe into our universe now. Throughout like the years of high school and whatnot, Hebeo. We wanted to talk about this. Hebeo Mark 1 was
for our audience. Explain. Let's talk about Hebeo. So, what is Hebeo?
My bad. Sorry. I get a little excited and carried away. All right, so it all started. Technically, it started with another thing that we'll talk about later. Hebeo Mark 1. Hebeo is the armor that the soldiers wear. All right. The soldiers are called Einherjar. I think it was high school when I started calling them Einherjar. The Inheria are the soldiers of specifically for the solar system itself, Yggdrasil, named after the world tree from not just the Germanic mythology, so a lot of mythologies around the world. They didn't call it Yggdrasil, but they all had a world tree. They all had some form of tree that depicted the universe and their spiritual understanding. It all revolved around a tree. But yeah, Hibeo Mark 1 was done in high school. It was really a ripoff of the Halo armor. Specifically, Mark 1 was ripoff of Halo 3.
Yeah, the Halo 3 Marines, right?
Yes. Mark 2 was a ripoff of the Halo Wars Marines because I just really liked the way they looked. They had the cool balaclavas on, and they had the goggles, and it just looked really cool. Now, the name Hibeo, I thought it was really cool. I love Metal Gear Solid. Oh, I love it. It's probably my favorite game series just because the story, man, is so rich, I feel, in like the twists and turns. And when I played a ton of it, that was a huge inspiration for another story, actually. We may or may not talk about, I'm not sure. 203 in particular was my version of the Metal Gear Solid stuff. But
for our audience, if I had to boil it down, 203 is like he may as well be like Doom Guy. At least that's how. Yeah. From the short story that I'd read.
I kind of went crazy when I came up with 203, and I played a ton of firefight in Halo. You just feel like a one-man army. So like I was kind of writing it from that perspective. It's kind of really bad. We kind of laughed.
It made for a very entertaining read.
We're still going to do stuff with that. We're going to rework some stuff and whatnot, but
yeah, we've got some storyboard stuff and basic plot for that short figured out. But that's a later discussion.
Definitely.
But yeah, back on the topic of Hibeo, though.
Hibeo.
Like, so where did Hibeo get its name? How did our wonderful power armor?
Hideo Kojima, the man himself. I had to immortalize him in the universe. I loved his storytelling and everything. Like, I'm not going to say I know everything. I'm not going to be like, oh, I know everything about Hideo Kojima. Well, no, I love Metal Gear Solid so much, and I loved everything that he's done. So I wanted to immortalize him. So I kind of put a twist on Hideo Kojima, and I came up with Hibeo Toshima. It's kind of like a little loose connection. I thought it was really cool.
Is the head designer of the Hibeo armor platform?
He's like,
I guess you call it.
Right now, like we don't have like a lot of lore about him. We just have like this mythological figure, kind of this mastermind behind the Hibeo works, Hibeo Productions. Yeah, it was Toshima Productions.
Toshima Productions.
Toshima Productions. Yeah, no, it was me immortalizing Hideo Kojima. Now, when I came up with Hibeo, I was thinking like I wanted like something military, like all the military things have to have like words associated. Like say we've got to be abbreviation or an acronym.
It was an acronym, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought for a while about how I could turn Hibeo Toshima and come up with something cool about Hibeo. I came up with something really, really bad. High impact ballistic armor and other. And I was like, I can't come up with a word for So eventually I just dropped it. I'm like, you know what? Let's just call it Hibeo, named after the man himself. Fast forward to now, and what you guys have seen on Lock and Load, and some probably promo stuff that we may release here or there. I believe it's Mark 7 that we're on right now. It's taken a lot of time and effort into putting into this design. A lot of the earlier designs were influenced by pop culture. Like I said, Mark 1 and 2 was inspired by Halo. Mark 3 was me trying to get a more armored up version of Hibeo. That was inspired by the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman's armor from there, because I really liked the trilogy. Such a good trilogy. Mm-hmm. It was decked out in pads and whatnot, and I liked it. I didn't do much with some of the earlier concepts other than drawing lineups and comparing and contrasting the few. Just really stuff for me messing around with. 4 and 5. Eventually, it started getting into the Star Wars territory. Star Wars was another huge influence on Yggdrasil. One of the biggest, because I obsessed over it. those were inspired by Republic Commando armor specifically, because I was playing obviously Republic Commando at the time, and early high school is when I started going really crazy into lore. Instead of doing work in computer class, all I would do was go to Wikipedia and print off lore pages of Star Wars, and I'd just be reading it. I think that's where my obsession of lore started, was then, because without knowing it, it was kind of influencing Yggdrasil. After those Star Wars versions, the Commando versions, I got out of high school. No, it was before. I went to a different school, and then some of those versions actually started becoming more original. I didn't really drop the ideas and the inspirations of the older armor, from Halo, Star Wars, and Batman, up until the later versions, what we have right now. I was really experimenting. I didn't really know. I wanted to find one true set of Hibeo, and it was a long process, and it took years. I didn't really have a solid design of Hibeo up until this past year. A lot of the stuff, the late high school stuff was, I'm not going to lie, it was a bit edgy. There was points, it was sharp edges, angles, with a ton of plates overlapping. We got another set of Hibeo that I'm calling Dragon Scale, which will be used at the moment. I plan on using it for something big. But that big project's going to have to wait until we get some things figured out and we get time and effort into it. Oh, and it's not just Hibeo, actually. The helm that they have is the Mantis helm. So roughly at late high school, I started experimenting with, I had the Hibeo name, and then I needed a helmet. So I did a ton of helmet designs. I mean, a ton. I have pages upon pages of concept sketches that I drew. But the first version of the Mantis helm, it was another Metal Gear Solid. I was playing Metal Gear Solid 3 at the time, and I really liked I know it's a little gas mask. It's nothing unique at all. I mean, we have gas masks now, and it was just really cool seeing Snake come down out of the plane with a gas mask on. I'm like, oh, this looks so cool. So I took the inspiration from the gas mask, and I was like, okay, so how can I take a gas mask like that and turn it into a helmet? So I did some sketches and whatnot, and the very first version of Mantis Helm came to fruition, and that had several different versions put into it. It went from looking like a gas mask helmet, and then I eventually added mandibles. I really like the mandibles on the sides. That also had a lot of changes too, because at the time I was thinking more of how cool it looks instead of how practical it is. I wanted the mandibles to move because I thought it was cool. Like when the person talks, they'd move and then a little animate. Unfortunately, a lot of things had to get cut and whatnot. But my message out to everyone, all the creative types out there, is even if you have to cut something out of what you're working on, be it a piece of artwork, never throw anything away, because you might come back to it one day, like I did with the Mantis Helm, and you could rework it. Because I think Mantis Helm has 5 versions. We might be on the 5th version currently.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I'd have to check the codex. Oh yeah. So one of the things that Dar really liked is we've been as me and Richard, the co-creator, have been working on this. Eventually, I sat down and I got tired of us forgetting the lore to the universe. So I just started typing up everything. I didn't care what it was, even if it's a little sentence. I typed up the sentence, and I slowly but surely we kept adding and adding and adding to the codex.
And the codex is basically for our viewers, it's the production document for the series, which was what really sold me when I joined along. So I didn't have anything to go off of. When I got the offer, it's Sci-fi project is I'll bite, and it's like, oh, they got a production document. They're called the codex. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Saw that, and I saw the art, and I've been sold ever since.
The name from the codex. So I'm sorry, I'm a little rambly right now. I'm really excited. The codex. The name Codex came from when I was going crazy into the mythologies and stuff like that. I actually have one of the Codex Runicus. I have that book is a book completely written in runes about the laws in I believe it's in a town called Skane. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. Sorry, but it's in Denmark. And then specifically the Codex that I got influenced by was Codex Regius. which it's the book that has all the myths and legends in it. It was supposed to be, I believe it's the first book that had the sagas and the myths and the poems written down. I have a version that I printed off. I have a big project I want to do, recreating that one day, but that's a lot of work and I don't have time for that right now. But yeah, that's a little thing for the codex. We could talk about the codex a lot, but I kind of want to get back onto Hibeo because yeah. So going through the journey of creating Hibeo is, in my mind, creating a person. So yeah, you can see that. Yeah, it's just a suit of armor, but for me, it's making a person, and it takes a lot of time and effort because bringing up the mantis helm and all the different iterations of Hibeo, I couldn't figure out a design. And we had dragon scale armor, which had a different version of the mantis helm. I think that was Mark IV mantis helm. I could be wrong. I'd have to check the codex, to be honest. Fast forwarding a bit, I kind of went through a little dark period about Projekt Yggdrasil. I didn't have a lot of written content, updating the codex. I mean, and I didn't have a lot of pictures, but that's when I truly started getting into the sagas, the myths, the legends, history. I started slowly dropping my obsession over fictional lore for games and whatnot. I still love it, and I still do binge lore videos a lot. But I started digging into history. I took Old Norse lessons. I had a tutor teaching me Old Norse. And that's when Yggdrasil truly started forming. What we have now is right then. The roots were back in middle school, yes, but compared to what we have now, it's completely different. For the better. I love what we have. The imagery, the lore, the culture that we're building within the universe. And I'm not going to lie, I'd like to try to see if we can get some of the culture from the universe into real world, because a lot of the culture is inspired by history and whatnot. And as I'm progressing through my time, I'm still trying to figure out how Hibeo is going to look, how the soldiers are going to look, how the people are going to look, because in Harryar and mythology, they are the soldiers. They are the chosen dead warriors, right? When you die in combat,
yeah, the Valkyries come and take them to Valhalla.
To Valhalla. So I called them in Harryar because I felt like people that would leave Earth to come to the Yggdrasil solar system, in a way, they kind of die, right? They're leaving behind their old identities. They're leaving behind who they were to become something more.
They're basically becoming reborn, essentially.
I really love putting a lot of mythology and poetic language into the universe because I feel like it makes it a bit more. Right. Okay, so let's take Halo, for instance. Nowadays, Halo does have a lot of that, but not as deep as I like. Halo is always grounded. Yes, it's sci-fi and aliens shooting plasma and spaceships. But if you look at it, it's still grounded in reality. Like, the soldiers look like they can be soldiers now, other than the Spartans and whatnot. But all the way up to the ODST, they look realistic and believable. Whereas I wanted Yggdrasil to be realistic and believable, but I didn't want it to be too grounded. I wanted to add an essence of mythology because I feel like it gives it spice. I feel like it gives it essence. And as I was getting more knowledge of history, I started reading. Like I said, I took Old Norse tutor. I had a tutor for Old Norse, which is where a lot of the names started coming up into the universe, all the Germanic and Nordic stuff. It was a dark period for a bit. It was a lot of experimenting with me, learning old dead cultures, languages, trying to see how I could take, to quote Einar, for Yggdrasil, I wanted to make something new from something old. Right.
For our audience, he's referring to Wardruna.
Einar Selvik. Sorry. I started listening to him at the time too. That period was, like I said, it was less artistic and less writing stuff down. It was me learning about history and culture and stuff like that. So a few years passed by, and I'm learning a lot of this stuff. I reached out to another person. His name was Arth Hager. He's a YouTuber who goes through. He has a bunch of videos talking about culture, spiritual beliefs, practices, and whatnot, historical practices. He puts his own 2 cents on it. I really liked him. I followed him a bit. Actually, he's one of the people I want to see if I can bring into the Projekt Yggdrasil loop. I feel like he'd be a very good consultant as far as culture goes. And it was actually
this is I'll let you finish.
No, you can go ahead.
I was about to say, like, going into speaking of the culture, it'd be a good moment to go into the topic of, you know, Midgard, or I guess I should explain that the this particular little universe where it takes place, or a lot of the action that we're focusing on is taking place in this in a binary star system, and of course the planet, you know, Midgard, is where our
main story takes place.
Tell us about Midgard and the culture and the society there of the Republic.
So currently, the culture is, how do I put this? If you don't mind, I want to try to do an abridged version of the history a bit. It started off, they found a planet, you know, that could be habitable. It was orbiting a binary star system, and everyone went nuts. It was like, oh, we have another planet we can colonize, and a bunch of people were out there trying to colonize it. Mainly, it was a bunch of corporations who were trying to capitalize on the real estate so they can make money and profit off of, you know, the beautiful land.
Yeah, land rights and mining rights.
However, there was a really, really, really big population, not just in one location, but throughout the entire planet, that was kind of getting a little unhappy with how things are going with the governments on the planet, and how all of the old civilizations, you know, the remnants of human history were being taken down, plowed over, being, you know, replaced with parking lots. And this is something that really kicked me off when I started learning history and old cultures. And people are saying, like, yeah, we had all such rich history, but it's being replaced by greedy corporations and whatnot. And it's something that I had an issue with. So I put that, I'm not going to lie, it was a bit of escapism for me. Eventually, the people got tired, and they were like, "Oh, let's see what we can do with this new planet." And they pretty much left Earth. They had a big following. A lot of people got together, and
particularly from the Scandinavian countries.
Oh, that's where the Five Sisters. Yes, there you go.
Yes, the Five Sisters.
Specifically, yeah. Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Iceland, and Finland. That's what really got together to go out and colonize this new planet. When they band together, their group that they call themselves the Five Sisters. A lot of Germanic, and not even just Germanic, but a lot of old traditions, specifically from the Bronze Age, all the way up to like the Viking Age era and whatnot. It had a lot of female heroes and protagonists, and I felt like, oh no, the Five Sisters, they're like the mothers of, you know, the people. Yes, it's a personification of the nations, yes, but going along with the mythology, you know, in my mind, it's like, you know, these five strong women came together to give birth to a new people. So when the Five Sisters banded together, they sought out and they went straight for what we now call the Yggdrasil system. However, when they got there, corporations were already there, and the native corporate population there didn't really like these new people coming in trying to take over. There was a bit of a scuffle. I say a bit. They actually had a small scale war. Can't really have a large scale war with a bit of a handful of people here and there. So yeah, we entered a brief era of strife a bit. The population that actually came there, the people of the Five Sisters, wanted a new land. They wanted a new place, and they were dead set on making this planet theirs and this solar system theirs. They had a little war. Eventually, they won the war, and they named the system Yggdrasil. The star specifically Yggdrasil, named after the world tree.
Yeah, you mentioned it's a lot of strife. There's a lot of conflict in this universe.
Not even just the corporations. You have another solar system that's orbiting the binary star system, right?
Yeah, the other star, the sister star to the Yggdrasil star.
While the new population, I've just been calling them the people of Yggdrasil, specifically in Harryar, because now, like, it's kind of given that every person who's born in the solar system, in the Yggdrasil system, has to serve an X amount of years.
Yeah, the mandated military service. It's a very strong, very strong military culture on Midgard.
Well, they kind of have to, because
Yeah,
they had to fight and claim the land to get these greedy corporate people off of land, because they were tired of getting their stuff torn down, torn up, paved over. All these wonderful, beautiful sites and whatnot.
and also basically too how if I remember correctly in the history, one of the realtors, or like one of the land like financiers or whatever, had basically lost out, had gone red into a deal to go sell off the land, and to make back the losses, they're basically going to charge and like tax the hell out of the the people of Midgard, and the people of Midgard were like, yeah, no.
So if it's not just the corporations that were trying to get payback, because they have some dough, and they weren't afraid to get some private military people out there to get some revenge. And it's not even just that. You also had some geopolitical tension with the sister star to Yggdrasil, the Musli system. Now, that's a very interesting predicament that they're in, because those are like the biggest rivals to the Yggdrasil system, mainly because of the cultural and the ideas that they have. That and a bunch of geopolitics with some asteroids and some land and territory, and they just don't like them. They sought to pretty much replace, flesh and bone with synthetic and artificial body parts, factory created machine work. It might look real. Some people don't even want it to look real, like real flesh and blood and bones and whatnot. And kind of goes directly against what the people of Yggdrasil stand for, which is being human first and foremost. Because the people of Yggdrasil felt like humanity was going down a path where they're no longer going to be human anymore. More and more people were removing, like I said, body parts, replacing them with synthetic and artificial, and slowly but surely, like, people started not looking like people anymore. The line between human and machine was growing a little thinner and thinner, and it kind of forced Yggdrasil to be a little, a little zealous a bit here and there, especially when you have all these tension and drama between the two systems. You have biotech on one hand, and then you have cybernetics and robotics on the other. One group of people wants to stay human, remain human, and be the best human possible, person-wise and physically, like, flesh and blood.
Here, to boil it down, it's like the people of Yggdrasil are very, like I said, they're very human, and it's also very deep rooted, like tradition and stuff. It's very yeah, like I say, like very, very human. It's the culture and stuff there. Whereas Musli is like to put it bluntly, it's like very, very cyberpunk. It's very dystopian over there. They're also under totalitarian rule over there.
They're the ones that gave in to the corporations and whatnot. They made it seem like
they sold out.
Humanity is weak. Flesh and blood is weak, and it's something that should be replaced with better mechanics, better cybernetics. And it's not even just that too, it's the political differences as well. How they have to have their fingers in everyone's lives, and they want to have straight rule with an iron fist to some degrees. So those are the two. You have Musli and you have Yggdrasil. Tensions were rough from the start between the two systems, and they're still rough to the point where almost a full-blown war was about to happen.
There was a very long Cold War period between.
There's some proxy wars happened. Yggdrasil funded certain populations, foreign populations, whereas Musli did the same. Fighting for asteroid rights is a big thing, because there's Yggdrasil has a ring of asteroids in its actual solar system, and there's a greater asteroid belt called the Jormungandr belt, named after the world's serpent. It surrounds both systems, and in the middle of the two systems is the asteroid belt as well. And sometimes one asteroid that's being mined by one system kind of goes into the other solar system. That doesn't work out because you have the flag of Musli and Yggdrasil system, and they're like, "Yo, what's this doing here? We don't want this here." So, Yggdrasil may or may not have accidentally, replaced it with Yggdrasil tech, and same with Musli. Things were getting really, really tense until something big happened. But we'll talk about the big thing later because there's still so much history. We have to wrap up Hibeo and whatnot. But I say it's a dark age for Projekt Yggdrasil as far as world building and lore goes for a couple years, but it really wasn't. Because if I didn't go through the years that I did learning and exploring the cultures, it is not even now. So it's not even just the cultures of the Five Sisters. It's more of like a broader culture that I'm putting in. Because when you go back far enough, you see a lot of similarities between cultures, their belief systems and whatnot. My main influence is, the Bronze Age era. Well, yeah, like I said, I do take from a lot of history, but a lot of cultures back then shared in ideology and in belief systems and in traditions. And that's something that I want to instill into the Yggdrasil system. A strong sense of tradition, family, kith and kin is one of the big terms that people like to throw around nowadays. It's pretty much just like, friendship and family and stuff like that. But yeah, like going throughout the years, coming up with Mussolini and the political tensions, and not even just that, because it didn't start with the tensions between the two systems. Didn't start with politics. It started with cybernetics versus biotech. Because Yggdrasil felt like they can, be a better human being by, messing with some genetics and just pushing humanity to be the best they can. They always strive.
Basically, pushing the envelope organically, whereas Moose, like I said, it's all, well, we don't need to be organic about it. We'll just, we'll build the part to make it better.
Why wait forever? Why have the patience and the satisfaction of being the best person you can be physically when you can just, say, screw it. Let's just do it now. Quick. How can I don't know, lift more? Let's cut my arms off and put them with robot arms. It's kind of a joke. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, yes, but it's just really like a point to it all. I kind of have to talk about the history of Yggdrasil, in real world, my experience creating it, and talk about the history, the in-universe history, because they kind of go hand in hand. Because like I said, eventually when I started talking to Arth, that's when the current version of Hibeo started, right? I wanted the ultimate Hibeo armor. I got tired of looking at all these old sci-fi knockoffs that I kind of ripped from. So what I did was I sat down. This was a year or 2 years before I contacted you. Mm-hmm. When I started forming the current version of Hibeo, I kind of scrapped everything. I believe it's Mark 6. I took, this was at the highest of my obsession with history and culture and whatnot. So with that, I took knight armor. I was like, okay, so what if we had a suit, like a full body suit with an exoskeleton? Oh, here's another thing that I like. So Yggdrasil has Hibeo, right? What's the difference between having, a suit of armor, that has an exoskeleton and stuff like that, compared to what Musli has? Musli has pretty much what Hibeo has, but internally, artificial bones, artificial blood.
They are the power suit, essentially.
Yeah, but I feel it's different because you're donning a suit of armor. You're not becoming something else, So. Yeah. I took inspiration from a lot of knight's armor. I got a lot of references, and I picked, these pauldrons from this armor, these boots from this armor and whatnot. And I came up with the Mark 6 that I liked. I ran it past Richard. Richard has always been the guy I would go to bounce ideas off of, because we just love lore crafting. He gave me his thoughts and opinions. I'm not gonna lie, he said it looks too conquistador-y. So I was like, I guess you're right a bit. So I went back to the drawing board and I was like, okay, so two conquistadori. He mainly pointed out the helmet. So I was like, okay, so let's take old versions of Hibeo and the knight armor, the reference knight armor I had, and let's see what I can combine. Eventually, I brought back the Mantis helmet. Now, I haven't done a Mantis helmet in a while. Like, I just thought it was really cool. I took the the boots and the greaves from older versions of Hibeo. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of have some, I don't know, not tropes, some designs that I never
It's
left.
like a motif.
Yeah.
Basically, there's little things that have stuck around, that have stood the test of time.
Definitely, especially two parts in particular. Other than the Mantis Helm, because the current Mantis Helm was more of like a streamlined version of the older versions. I got rid of the moving mandibles because I like the idea, but the good point was like, I mean, it wouldn't really work out. You technically could, but from a realistic perspective, like, why would you give your soldiers moving mandibles just so they can talk? Yeah, it looks cool and insectoid-like, but I kept the mandibles, but I fused them to the helmet. It's like the biggest difference between a lot of the older versions of the Mantis Helm compared to what we have now. But some of the motifs that I always kept would be the heart motif. Now, some versions of Hibeo didn't have the heart motif. I believe Mark III, the Batman one, didn't have it. And Mark 1 definitely didn't. I think Mark 2 is when I started. Mark 2B specifically, I believe that's where the motif started. And it would be the greaves. I kind of thought it'd be really cool to put a rune on the greaves. I really did it for decoration. Mother, it means man in English. I really did it for design because I thought it looked cool. But those two things always kept. I always kept those two motifs. So I brought back the Mantis Helm. I brought back some old greaves that I had, and I kept the core body from the Mark VI Hibeo. And yeah, what we have now is, like, in my opinion, the ultimate Hibeo, the ultimate suit of armor. Now, talking about that, I have to sit there and think of, okay, so they're not Spartans, right? They're not these super soldiers that go out, because I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of tired of the whole super soldier thing. Like, I like it. It's a good trope. And technically speaking, you know, in here you are kind of super soldiers compared to modern day humans. But given the context of the universe, they're just generic people. I always wanted to tell a story of the average person. Like, playing Halo is fine. I love playing as a Spartan, kicking butt and killing aliens and zombies and stuff. But like, I always wanted to play as a Marine or an ODST. I always loved ODSTs more than Spartans because they're more relatable. Same thing with Star Wars. Is like, Jedi are cool, but I want to play as a clone. That's why I like Republic Commando a lot, and the Battlefront games. Is like, I felt like, you know, you were just a soldier. You were just a person.
And part of the thing I feel like with that is it's that sense of vulnerability.
Definitely.
That really makes it like it ups the stakes and it gets you more invested in it.
We have to ignore 203 a bit.
Okay, yeah, that's different.
Because 203,
that's power fantasy fun. There's a place for that, but for the most part, though, it's like there really is something to be said. It's like having characters that are. Yeah, they're not perfect. Yeah, they're flawed, and yeah, they're very human.
Here's another thing: like, no one's perfect in this universe. Not even the people of Yggdrasil. Because one of the biggest things is when you go back in history. When I obsessed over history a bit, you look at things that are happening nowadays in the world, and you look at what's happened in, you know, Rome specifically is what I bring to mind. Like, people haven't changed. Humans are never going to change. You know, how many societies are going to be toppled over and paved over with a new society? How many statues are going to be torn down and replaced with new statues? So, like, I came to the realization that we're never going to change. No matter who's in power, no matter, you know, how strong the fist is, you know, that's going over everyone's head, humans are never going to change. So I had to put that sense into the universe. So it's just like it's gray. Like, oh man, we could talk about Odin's Few. One of the things that I wanted to do was I really wanted to have a mythological sense in the universe, and I wanted to bring in the Nordic pantheon. I wanted to take the names of the gods and the goddesses of old and bring them into the universe, but I wanted to make it realistic and believable. Same with the traditions and the cultures and whatnot. I wanted to see how I can make it believable and understanding to the people. Or isn't this like, oh, this is just some sci-fi universe crap? So I always wanted to have them there, like the pantheon. And talk about Odin's Few, talk about the gray area. Specifically, Odin's Few are the people that work for the Temple of Odin, or the Odinic Order. They are kind of like an intelligence group. Yggdrasil could be a little paranoid, I'm not gonna lie, because in the event of, I don't know, a world apocalypse or something like that, they sent out a bunch of people to create these quote unquote temples. They're not really a place of worship at all. I kind of got the inspiration from Rome. If I remember correctly, a lot of the temples that they had acted more than just one thing. They were like a bank and a place of worship, if I remember correctly. God, I hope I didn't get this wrong. So I took that. I was like, okay, the Temple of Odin. There's two temples of Odin on.
Hey, we had a bit of lag.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're saying, or the number of temples.
Yes. So
there's two.
We have two temples on Midgard, and one off planet in a secret, secluded location that I'm not going to disclose. The temples, the main temple is buried far up north in a place called Highlands Rock. I kind of like the idea of dwarves a lot, so I kind of thought of it'd be really cool if we had like a dwarven kingdom in Midgard. So I took the Temple of Odin and I put it all the way up north, deep in the mountain. Nobody's going to go there. The reason why it's secluded there is to house everything related to humanity, all the knowledge, all of the technology, everything. It's a catalog just in case something happens. No one started from scratch. They still have the technology. They still have the blueprints. They still can produce stuff. So it's kind of like these, specifically Highlands Rock. I'll get to a second Temple of Odin, and then I'll talk about the essence and the what they do and how it relates to Odin as a character, I guess. His essence, like who Odin is. So the one up north is kind of like an underground city. It's got its own population there. It's the most top secret thing in the universe, the fictional universe, but the Yggdrasil system particularly. Everything Yggdrasil has, including Musoli, all old books and stuff. They have a top priority list of what's the most important, and they're not afraid to get what they want. The second Temple of Odin is a city, actually. I always saw it as like the most industrial of it all. I always saw it as like a kind of like a New York type place. Now, how am I supposed to take something that's supposed to be secluded, hidden away? Its main objective is to house all knowledge and pretty much be able to kickstart specifically Yggdrasil, but humanity if need be. How am I supposed to do that but for the public, especially if it's supposed to be top secret? What do? I make it this big melting pot of everything. It's supposed to have a bit of everything humanity has to offer and had to offer. It's like the whole city, in essence, is kind of like a big museum in a way, where you can go in one area and you can experience like a truly Japanese lifestyle, and you can go to another one and have, a Slavic lifestyle. It's supposed to be everywhere. It's supposed to showcase the greatest achievements humanity has to offer. And then on top of that, it's supposed to show what we could do and what humanity is capable of achieving. We don't have a lot on that right now. That's just the idea that I have. I'm sure by the time we get to it, some things are going to change. But as of now, that's the second Temple of Odin. Now, the Odinic Order, they're kind of like our Oni spooks, right? You have Halo, like every time it's like, oh, he's working for Oni, he's a spook. They're the people that you should trust, but you shouldn't trust. Now, why is that? Because Odin in the mythologies, he is supposed to be the person that's staving off Ragnarok, right? He's the one that's going out of his way to gain knowledge, to gain wisdom, to make sure society as we know it functions the way it does. And Odin himself is a bit gray. He breaks a bunch of rules that were pretty much quote unquote sacred. Kind of lying. To get his way, even murder, anything he can do to gain knowledge and to stave off Ragnarok. Now, in a lot of stories, he is the enemy to the person, but in a lot of other stories, he's also a friend. Same with the Temple of Odin. So I was like, how am I supposed to take a Nordic god and put him into a universe without making it look weird or jarring? Because I still want to keep the essence of realism there. So I took his idea, the idea of the character, right? The whole gaining knowledge to stave off Ragnarok type of thing. The morally gray specifically just to get the information and the technology. Sometimes just to catalog it. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it makes for the perfect match for the intelligence agency here in this universe.
Now, I love and the big project that we're working on coined Hugin and Munin as the operators on the other end of. Oh my God, we can even talk about Hleedscalf too. Oh, geez. Okay, so we coined the term. Not coined the term. I think it was Richard started calling the intel operators on the other end of the line.
Essentially the handlers.
Yeah, the handlers. There we go. Hugin and Munin, Fault and Memory. Obviously, the two ravens that whispers into Odin's ears. I thought it was really cool. A little nod to that. I like that a lot. But I want to talk about Hleedscalf. So in mythology, Hleedscalf is the throne Odin sits on to see and hear everything, based off of my understanding of the mythologies. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so how do we have that and put that in here? Realistically, I'm taking the ideas of the various deities in the pantheon and tried to overlay them in the world realistically. So I kind of took that and made it into this big AI. There's not a lot of AIs out there. Coming from the Halo perspective, there's not a lot of smart AIs out there. Hleedscalf is the biggest one. Hleedscalf is connected to practically everything. Now you can say, is that smart to have an AI in control of everything and can see everything? We can have a discussion for that later because there's a lot of nuances and a lot of lore and whatnot. But Hleedscalf is this big AI that the Temple of Odin has. It's the location of Hleedscalf is in High Rock, just like the biggest Temple of Odin. That's the way I was able to do it, because Odin is not a person, is not a deity in the universe. The way mythologies portray him, I had to take the essence and the idea of him and overlay it there. So instead of it being a throne that Odin sits on, it's kind of like the brain, I guess, because Odin himself would be the Odinic order. It would be Odin's few, because it's not just one person. It's like a bunch of people acting as if he would, if that makes any sense. I hope all that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Explaining some of this is a bit difficult for me because I don't really explain a lot of this. That's Temple of Odin. It plays a huge role in something. Because I wrote some short stories, I never finished them, that pertain to High Rock, or High Ones Rock is the full name, High Ones Rock. High Rock I call it for short, because it's cool, I think. Lisk. I love Lisk.
Yeah, speaking of AI.
Yeah, so I wanted our soldiers to have a Cortana. I loved Halo, I still do actually. I liked having Cortana. It was just really cool having this little AI friend go around, talking to you while you're just murdering a bunch of aliens. So it's like, how could we have our own AI? And I came up with Lisk way back in high school. The name might not be the best, or the full, name. Limited Intelligence Supercomputer is what I came up with in high school. I like it. I call it Lisk for short. Now, it didn't start off as, Limited Intelligence Supercomputer. Initially, Lisk ended with a K, and then I went all crazy. Around the same time, I wanted to come up with, an acronym for HIBAO, like High Impact Ballistic Armor and other, which I dropped that almost immediately. But I kept Lisk. I changed the K to a C, and then we have, what we have now. So in Halo terms, Lisk would be a dumb AI. I don't know how to put it. It's not like dumb. Like, it's as smart as Cortana would be. It's as smart as a smart AI, but it doesn't have access to a lot of things. It's very restricted, which is why I'm calling it limited intelligence.
Yeah, hence limited.
Yeah. Now, each Inheriar... Oh, and here's the thing about Inheriar. Pretty much when you enlist and you get to a certain point early on, pretty much once you graduate, you become an Inheriar. Right, that's when you get fitted with your own HIBAO, and then you're paired up with your personal Lisk. Now, Lisk itself, when it starts off, it's very bland and boring. It doesn't really have a form or identity itself, right? I kind of see it as Auntie Dot from Reach, because I really like Auntie Dot. I thought it was really cool. It starts off like that, but eventually, as you work with it, you talk to it, it learns your personality, and it's specifically designed to be a good counterpart, to be a good companion to the Einherjar. That way, if your entire team, your entire squad gets killed, and you're in the middle of a battlefield all alone, you still have Lisk. It's supposed to be as realistic and as human-like as possible. Obviously, it's an AI and it has a bunch of connections and whatnot. In a way, it is same with the suit of armor. It is the soldier. Because even with Hibeo, it's not just a big old flashy suit of armor with the exoskeleton. The suit of armor is living, which is why I liked a bit of animism there. You have the biosuit. I kind of forgot to mention for Hibeo. Biosuit is, I really don't know the intricacies of it. It's this kind of like a wetsuit. The original biosuit came in high school. I called it sealskin. Semi-permeable exoskeletal armor living suit. That's what I called it. I don't know if we're going to keep that, but that's what I called it back in high school. I couldn't tell if I was going to be living suit or living skin, but that whole thing is still up in the air at the moment. But yeah, the biosuit is created off of your genetics, yours and the Einherjar's genetics. And while the soldier is in training, it's growing and growing and growing. It's supposed to be just like Hibeo itself. The entire Hibeo would be the biosuit, the armor, and Lisk, right? Which makes up the Einherjar. So technically, yes, the individual soldier without the Hibeo suit is an Einherjar, but the Einherjar itself would be the person and the armor. The biosuit is living. Its main goal is to regulate temperature. It's supposed to help heal wounds like burns and whatnot. If you have a broken leg, the biosuit will harden up and attempt to put the bone in its spot and stuff like that. And then on top of that, you have the big armor, which its main function for Hibeo is, yes, its armor is supposed to stop bullets and things from killing the soldier, but at one point, since warfare is so fast and it relies on information, it relies on quick, rapid responses, the idea of big, bulky armor just didn't seem fit. So Hibeo is supposed to be able to enable the soldier to last longer on the battlefield, to lift things, to be able to operate without such a burden. And then on top of that, you get the Lisk, which the biggest thing for Lisk is it's connected to lead Skelf, right? So, in essence, when you're talking to Lisk, even though it's its own thing, it's in a way a part of Lead Skelf. It's almost an always contact with Lead Skelf, relaying information to the soldier, collecting information, relaying data, video footage that's recorded from the helmets or the helms and the armor. And yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out exactly what else I can add to this. Oh, the cool thing about the biosuit that I liked, it's got these little scales. So I was thinking, like, even though the Einherjar might not be wearing like the big metal suit of armor, the biosuit's still able to actually offer some form of protection, mainly to like very low powered small arms. Now you still got to hurt because you're getting shot, but it's supposed to be able to stop, small caliber bullets and whatnot. But like the higher caliber and the higher, velocity, it's a big gray area. It is living, like the entire suit's living, which is really cool because I feel like Lisk would be the brains of the armor. So when you don the suit of armor, you're donning like, I don't know, I always felt like it would be like this enchanted gear, something out of a fantasy game. I played a lot of Skyrim. I still, well, not so much nowadays. And I always like the idea of like enchanted armor, and this armor has a soul of an ancient warrior imbued with it. That's kind of the way I see it a bit. It's just really cool. I really like it. I can't wait till we show more of the bond and connection between the Einherjar and the Lisk and everything. But yeah.
So moving on, since we both agreed not to spoil it, I'll just say that there is an alien menace involved in this this universe.
But don't tell anyone. Don't tell a single person. You guys are the only people that know.
It's everyone who's been listening this far.
Oh my god. I don't want to talk too much, but like the first sketch I did of the alien. That's where it all started. I was obsessed with Resistance. If anybody wants to know, I'm not going to put anything out because we have a lot of plans and it's only a matter of time. But if anyone wants to know what the original design looks like, just look up what the Chimera from Resistance Fall of Man looks like. And you'll get an idea because I'm not going to lie. I really just kind of stole that and I kind of made my own version. But just like Hibeo.
It's evolved a lot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in the time since.
it's like it's not even the same creature. And then on top of that, I wanted to start a second universe, science fantasy, because my world was shattered when I realized Star Wars isn't science fiction, it's science fantasy. I was like, what if I actually did go down the science fantasy route? I would have to be bound by science. I could come up with whatever I want. That didn't last long. That was a lot of work, and I was like, I kind of just want to stick with what I have going on so far. We do have another thing. I can't talk about it. It would spoil. There's some extraterrestrial, as an extraterrestrial, I mean non-human stuff going on, which humans were dragged in. Let's say it's a long line of things that have been happening before humanity was even like out of the Stone Age. It might be a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah, there's some extraterrestrial drama going on that humanity has been thrown into, and I'll leave it at that. I want to show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. All this is a work in progress, by the way, guys. Like, it might be slow right now. I mean, obviously, I have a day job, which takes up the vast majority of my time. But we have a lot of good plans going on, and should we talk about the not big project, the project we're doing before the big project?
Well, before we get to that, so the main big project is like for most part we're focusing on the sci-fi horror aspect of things, but as our viewers are probably gleam from your explanations on the many things here, there's a lot more to Projekt Yggdrasil than just the usual okay, humans versus aliens and spooky and sci-fi.
Oh, I could talk about that real quick. Oh man. There's so much. It's not just humans versus aliens. At the core, that's what the main story is right now. But we have... I kind of botched the history, I'm not going to lie. That's why I rely
I think you did all right.
That's why I rely on people to help out and be a part of it. There's so much. It's not just humans versus aliens. It's not going to be a straight sci-fi horror thing. No, like we have,
like we were talking about earlier, like you even got the story of like the founding of the nation, their nation. Story of independence. That's the whole story on its own.
On top of that, we have I kind of want to get into some space cowboy territory with asteroid mining. I want to do. I really kind of want to do a.
When you say space cowboy, you're either gonna get a lot of Cowboy Bebop people excited, or Firefly fans excited, or both.
All of them. I want to take. Not even just that. Star Wars, too. Because initially the idea did come from Star Wars. I'm not going to lie. I know I'm going to get chastised for this. I didn't watch Firefly when it came out, and it was like one of the big things that Richard was into that he really liked. I did watch it. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I liked it a lot, and it kind of sucks how it died off. But yeah, it
got canceled too soon. It's
going to be stuff like that. Now, I don't know how we're going to do the whole space cowboy thing, because in Star Wars, Cowboy, all of that sci-fi stuff, it's got the technology is a bit more fictional, whereas we're trying to present something a little bit more realistic and believable. It's going to be difficult when we get to it. It's going to be a while, so you can get your hopes up. But I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be like, with this coming out soon. we have the big stuff we're going to work on first, but it's something that I want to work on eventually is asteroid mining, space piracy, because there was a lot of space piracy going on in early Yggdrasil colonization. They actually had a rage of war against some of the mercenary factions and whatnot, kind of like a payback, like, oh, this is what you get for messing with us all those years ago. How does it feel, punks? I also want to tell a story about gangsters, because old lore, we have a couple of powerful families in the Yggdrasil system. They have connections, out of system too, even to Mussolini. I don't know why. A couple families there, and they do some shady stuff as far as like organized crime goes. I think a space mafia story would be really cool. I don't think I've seen one before. I already have a couple of names that I came up with years ago, and a loose story idea. But yeah, really so much. We have so many stories we could tell leading up to the current timeline, the current modern day for Yggdrasil, and then even post war. There's so many stories I want to tell, and I've kind of been expanding the universe a bit. All this is like not set in stone, like post-war stuff, because we're mainly focusing on leading up to the current conflict. But yeah, no, like there's so much there. Like I spent since middle school just lore crafting and world building, you know, drawing some sketches here and there. And eventually when Richard got involved, he added a lot too. And then Dar here, very adamant. Guy, I just found if anyone actually, you know, has a project or has something and you're working with Dar, he's really good. I just want to say he's been very, very into it. He's very resourceful. He goes out of his way a lot. Speaking of the Codex, out of nowhere, I came home from work one day and he showed me the Codex OS. I'm like, Codex OS? It was like a little wiki of. Yeah,
I compiled together a personal offline wiki for both for Vilison and it was for Vilison and for Richard, because going through the production document was getting a little out of hand, and trying to find relevant information at times is a little bit tricky.
The information there is out of date too, so it's like, yeah, we have a codex, but it's a little unorganized. It's rambly. It's a lot. Yeah. Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah, so we needed a good way to be able to update things and also be able to find information easily, and came across a way to make a wiki, and I did that.
And not even just that. Like the first time I heard music paired with any artwork, we have something else we're gonna be posting and releasing soon. We're still in our foundings. We're still a very small team. There's about 7 of us now. It's taken us years to get to the point where we are, but we're on the precipice. We're like right on the edge of actually getting things out.
So the quote unquote main series that we have in mind currently is being written by Richard. We have the screenplay for the first episode, the pilot episode of it. Some complications had come up, and
the complications, i.e. lack of skill on my part. I'm a bit too ambitious, and I kind of get carried away all the time. And one day, I've been creating the universe and going back and forth with Richard for years, and I just kind of got really tired of doing a 9 to 5. I really am. It's not for me. I don't see a successful future in my life if I keep going down this route. And I've always been the creative type. If I've been doing this since middle school. So one day I said, screw it. I'm taking this serious. The whole thing started, the reason why I got Dar involved was I just started drawing one story. I didn't have a script. I didn't have anything. I was just, I'm not going to lie, I was just taking a bunch of pictures off the internet, drawing my versions of them and trying to put them together in the story. Very, very poorly sketched, I might add. And he's like, yeah, I like this. I got Richard. So like, hey, Richard, check this out. I'm working on something right here. Could you help me come up with like a script or a screenplay or something for it? I'm not gonna lie, Richard's like, it's kind of hard to do something that you've already have like a good bit of stuff drawn for it. So I was like, okay. Eventually, we started working on a loose story. I did some rough dialogue, very, very, very rough dialogue. Oh my god! I was like, I like the stock audio that I got, the stock sound effects, and the free music. I say free loosely, but I want something more. So one day, I was just watching a GIF of the animatic that I started working on, and I was like, let's see if I could find someone to make music for it, right? So I was just listening to Doom music randomly, because I'm not gonna lie, Doom 2016, Eternal came out like last year. It was 2016. Mick Gordon's music was awesome, and I was just going through a Doom hype for a bit, and then I came across your stuff, Dar. I was like, man, this is really good. This is Doom music. I really like it. And I kept listening. I'm like, Dar, Davester 2296. This guy's cool. And it was Shores.
The On Impulse album. Yeah.
On Impulse, sorry. I always get those two mixed up. It was On Impulse. Came out like...
It's like Shores' Destiny, though. That's the highlight of the album. For sure, though.
Yeah.
It's a fan favorite.
That album got released like a week before. I'm like, dude, this guy's doing covers of Doom music and he's got his own original content. Oh my god, this is awesome. So then I reached out. It started off before I got in contact. I wanted to do Halo Headhunters, by the way. Yeah, this is what it was. My pitch was I'm trying to make it like a motion comic, like Halo Headhunters, but better. Because I felt like I could do better than what the team that did Halo Headhunters could do. Now, I'm not going to lie, at the time, absolutely not. But I knew if I kept working on it, I could. I'm not trashing on Halo Headhunters. I watched that a lot. That and Mona Lisa. Those are the two big inspirations of me wanting to do this, because I'm like, well, these are just like a bunch of pictures and like low frame rate, and Mona Lisa had a bunch of image warping. We're not going to be doing a lot of image warping at the moment. I do have plans to make rigs and Live 2D. I had to get into VTubing culture for a bit. I didn't get lost into it, but I needed to understand the technology. I still want to do it, but it's just like I don't have the time or skill or know-how. I did try to rig and in Harry R. I got the head to move, but I'm like, this is just so much. There's so much, and I don't have the time or know-how, like I said. So I kind of dropped that. But yeah, I looked at him like, we could do this. It's just a bunch of pictures, low frame rate. Headhunters did have some parallax animation going on towards the end, because they released it in parts, and as they went on, their quality and animation rose. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe they had some CG Spartans. I'm mainly thinking of when he did the backflip, and whatnot. That's where it started.
Yeah, towards the end of Headhunters.
Yeah, that's where it started. It's like I watched Headhunters one day. I was like, yep, that's it. I'm doing that, but better. So I did the direct opposite, and I made a really, really bad sketch animatic. I didn't have a story in mind. I was just literally just drawing, and I was kind of doing some, internal memes, laughing at myself because list glitching, and then the dial tone at the end. I never showed you that, by the way. I got to show you that.
No, I think you did. You wound up finding it, yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, so when I got him involved, I was not expecting to hear back from him as quick as he did. It was almost instant, to be honest, because I reached out to someone.
It piqued my interest. I was like, you didn't have anything like on your YouTube account that you commented on Impulse album video. And I was like, oh, who is this guy? It's like, it's like this sci-fi project. Like, I like sci-fi. I could dig it. And it's like, yeah, it's yeah. I respond back, and then we shot some emails back and forth, and then got to see at the time the latest iteration of the Hibeo power armor, and
that was a dark time for that armor. Oh, good Hibeo.
It still looked great though.
I did good Hibeo. All right, so when I was drawing back then, I was decent. A lot of people liked my stuff, but I felt like I didn't like it. Like I wanted more. I'm like, y'all like it, but I still think it's bad. The best that I've done was like a bunch of like, I've done like sketching of Hibeo and some of the non-humans. But I'm like, with my detail-oriented sketch portraits that I've been doing, and I feel like I could actually do that. And geez. I lost my train of thought again. You laugh. It's not funny. But anyways, I just had this essence in my mind. Like he responded, and I didn't have anything, and I'm like, oh my god, he's actually interested in doing it. And I'm like, okay, please bear with me. This is very rough, but it's gonna get better. My dialogue was awful because I didn't give it my all, because I was just trying to put something together just to see if I can actually do it. And he still stuck around. He even came up with Code of the Nine Virtues, a little rock melody intro thing. Oh my god!
No, that's Tree of Life was the rock one.
Tree of Life. Code of the Nine Virtues is the one with the drums.
For the Temple of Odin.
Yeah. And then what really got me is when I sent him the animatic that I did, and he gave me his Lisk dialogue. Oh my god! I'm sitting there thinking, oh my god, the quality of the audio, like the voice effects that he's doing, and then like you gave it your all in recording. I'm like, oh my god, he's doing way better than I am. I was like, yeah, it's that I am not losing this guy. Now that animatic we kind of got the little team together. Richard was working, helping me work on the script for that animatic, and then Dar was going to be making music and doing lines of lists because I really liked it. It was really cool. Eventually, we got more and more people involved. Richard invited one of his friends to work on it, and I was like, let's just take the essence of the story I have here and come up with something new. So we kind of dropped that animatic, and Richard did a full-length script. Really, really good. I'm really excited for when we get to the main big one. And we kind of entered a dark path because I started doing another animatic. We all did some rough dialogue recording and whatnot. That's when I realized that I need to up my game in my voice acting. It's a little intimidating.
That, and then we also you also realized there's a bit more in animation and art. Well,
it was also on top of that, I wanted to change the direction in animation. I feel like that's where we started going downhill a bit. Not downhill bad, because I was thinking, well, if I got this crew here and I got this team and I got Dar's freaking skillful ass guitar playing and all the mixing and whatnot that he's doing, I kind of want to up the quality in the animation a bit. So that's when I started wanting to do full, seamless animation.
Yeah, this is where the experiments with using live 2D and the rigs and stuff had started.
Eventually, as I started going more and more and more, I did a walking test. Just a character walking from one direction to another. It's the first time I ever animated. That came out to be something a little bit more, but that's for later. And I was like, you know what? This might be a bit too ambitious. What if we put this on hold and start up something completely new? Let's start with something simple.
It's gonna be something. It was supposed to be easy, be simple, and we wound up making this really,
oh my god,
really convoluted, this very expansive comedy series idea. Which, that's a whole other video for another time.
I got really excited. I took all of my OCs. I'm not going to lie. If anyone trash talks people who draw OCs, don't listen to them. Well, I love drawing OCs because a lot of my characters are nothing but OCs for anime or cartoons or something that I've been growing up with, and they kind of taken their life on their own as I kept drawing and coming up with more of them. So I took a lot of my OCs, put them in the lineup. I came up with stories and factions. It kind of got convoluted and it kind of got big, and it was one day.
Yeah. It wasn't simple anymore. No. And we were like, yeah, this is kind of looking kind of like a lot more work than we'd set out for.
Oh my God.
How about we go back to Yggdrasil? We were like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Well, so the cool thing about that is my tests that I've been doing, we had to put a lot of things on hold just because I needed to do more testing. I needed to get things out of my system and learn a bit more. I mean, it wasn't a waste of time. I wish I kind of knew, obviously now what I knew back. Yeah. Anyway, you know,
it's just a learning process.
It is. But the one day he was like, why don't we just go back to that one thing? Oh, we wanted to do the 203 thing too.
Yeah. That's we're doing that was looking pretty good. Also made a song and everything for that. It was really good. But that'll come out.
About to say
one of these days. But before we get to that, because I think it's got a little complicated in the creation of the 203 short, and
the angles that I wanted to do, because I got a lot done in the storyboarding. I didn't finish. Oops, sorry about the mic.
That's all good.
I didn't finish it, but eventually we're like, man, there was a lot of shots, a lot of angles, and it was another one of those. I have an idea. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. If I ever say I can get this done in no time, take that with a grain of snow. I mean, eventually we're like, this might be a little bit too complicated. And then he goes, why don't we just go back to that one anime, the very first one? So now
we always referred to as the proof of concept animatic, which
So now we came full circle. About 2 years in the making, and
we're back to the thing that you originally started working on that you sent to me.
Yeah. So
as the proof of concept, you had to tell me on the series.
Now we have two stories based off of that one little animatic thing I did, and
I've actually taken up the role for writing the screenplay, writing the script for this. I took the.
You've also taken up the role as chief propaganda officer as well.
Oh yes, that's a separate thing. Yeah, because the original proof of concept Animec was didn't have much story to it.
No, not at all.
And so talking of learning experiences and stuff with the comedy series idea that got really blown out of proportion.
We're still going to be doing stuff for it, but that's going to be a little bit later and a little bit less animation. But I mean,
if anything, I'll probably there'll be like web comics or something, little skits or something like that. But during that period of time, I'd written the pilot episode for that, or at least or with some help, of course. It was first time writing a screenplay, and with that experience, I wound up being really confident going. Oh, what?
Oh, it's like that's where it started. Man, it seems like it was yesterday, dude.
And yeah, now with the current thing we're working on, "Sneak You Down" is the name of the this pilot episode that I've written, based off of the original proof of concept animatic, and it's looking very nice. I'm very excited for it. Which actually, before we get into all that, should tell the audience about what is a Sneckia.
All right, so a Sneckia is the pride of the Republic. They're built like tanks, some say, and it's pretty much it's our gunship. It's our Pelican. It's our LAAT gunship from Star Wars. You know, it's our. It's
that combined with like an A10 like Warthog. You know,
that in itself had a bunch of different iterations. Although of all the designs I had for Projekt Yggdrasil, I don't think the Sneckia changed that much. It's really mainly the cockpit area that's changed. Like I had one that had like a really cool like angry bird face because it looked really cool. But yeah, like that, it's pretty much a Chinook but bigger. All right, think of a Chinook that can fit a Bradley in it and a couple of like an accompanying soldiers, an accompanying Einherjar. We have another vehicle called a Hester, Old Norse for horse, which is pretty much our Bradley. It could fit a couple Einherjar in there. How many? I think 8, I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
Very, very, very cramped. I'm not going to say it's the best, but when you have like a suit of armor, it's not like people are going to be like shoving you aside or anything like that. You're still going to be comfortable-ish. Yeah, no, like the amount of variations that we have and whatnot, because I didn't even think about having variations at the time. I just thought of making a gunship. I was really ripping off of the LAAT from Star Wars a bit with the earlier designs. We had to chop some things, get rid of a few things, but the core essence of the Sneckia, it's still there. It's our main transport. It's our main
like close air support as well. Like I said,
yep, close air support. Yeah, no, it's a big glorious flying FU machine. I think that's anything else for the Sneckia. I believe that should be it for the Sneckia. Because y'all are about to see a lot of Sneckia here soon. Oh man. When we were talking about making sound effects for stuff for Yggdrasil, we have a lot of working concepts for the GSR, which is our main weapon, the General Service Rifle. The M2618B is the current designation for the GSR, and listening to the Sneckia's like purring engine was so cool. It really reminded me of like a big beefy LAAT gunships type of sound effect, which I was kind of looking for to begin with. But like I told Dar, everything's up in the air. I'm open to anything.
Yes, I'll say though that it was really fun making the sound effects. Yeah, because especially with my first foray into sound design stuff. Yeah, outside of a musical context. Yeah, just making up sounds and all that.
Oh, like listening to them and just like visualizing the script and like the atmosphere of everything. Listening to the GSR, shoot, single shot burst and then full auto, and then the gunship, and then a certain purring he made. It's
lovely aliens. You guys are all gonna be in for a real treat when the show's ready.
They're very, very cute and cuddly. How can something purr and it be bad? And if it purrs, it must be cute and cuddly, right?
I don't know, man. Cats can be pretty mean.
Oh, not my Percy. She's an angel. Yeah, like it's really big for me because since I created this way back in middle school, obviously the universe has taken a change, but hearing audio paired with my visuals that I've been thinking of for so long, we did Request of the Red Girl, which is the first time I actually saw him put audio. He just took a bit from Requiesce.
The closing track from Red Planet 2.
I love Red Planet. I can't wait for Red Planet 3 to come out. Sarcastic cough.
I'll get to it one of these days.
Just letting y'all know, whenever it happens, there's going to be some visuals. And they're going to be glorious, especially how things are going on with on this. I wish I could show y'all so much for the visuals, but I kind of want to keep things secretive, and I don't want to put too much out. And a lot of things are still rough. Getting to the point where we need to be, once Neck It Down is released, we would have a full understanding of the whole work process. We had a brief glimpse of that with something related to Alder Rock, per se, a glorified walk cycle. We had a glimpse of that, and that's when I really fully realized that we actually might be on some gold here. Now, I'm not trying to be the biggest and the best, production team. I'm not trying to go out there to have like the best visuals. Like, I would just want to tell a very good story and have like awesome artwork associated with it and whatnot. Something to strive for. So I'm not going to lie. Something that I want to strive for is, being the best, obviously. But it's just this little fun indie thing that I'm hoping gets big, because I'm telling you guys, there's so many plans. Like, I have so much stuff out that I've done. That are just rough ideas and concepts. I mean, I don't want to talk about merch and whatnot because it's way too early for that. But like, if we ever get to the point, like the amount of stuff that we can put out, like I have to sit there and think about, okay, well, we have this cool story about how do we get people involved and whatnot. Just like, you need to make the viewers feel a part of the universe and whatnot, which is why I kind of like to have merch. Even if we're like still a small team, we could be like a small, like little hidden gem for years. But even if we have like a small core group of people and whatnot, there's so much. I can keep rambling about that stuff for days.
So try to wrap things up here. So like on the topic though, like talk about some of the plans and stuff for Vilisons Productions as a little startup, I guess production company.
Plans for Vilisons Productions. My main goal is to start an empire. I'm not joking. What type of empire we'll figure out as we go. The more people we get along, the type of empire will change. I want to get to the point where we can buy out Tencent, and then
the ultimate goal.
and then just completely disband it and throw it away. Tencent doesn't exist anymore. The plan. So we have as far as like shows and whatnot. We have the main Alder Rock series. We have the little. We want to do a couple of shorts. Neck It Down is going to be our first short. Be a glimpse of what we truly can do as a team. The 203 little short that we want to do, that's going to be more of like an action scene. It's going to be more of a high energy, heavy metal and whatnot. It's all of it's going to be work in progress, and things are going to change eventually. But based off the little animatic we did, it's going to be pretty good. I've kind of been taking some lessons in a certain stringed instrument, so who knows? We might see a featured Vilison soon. Depends on how good I get. Actually, you know what? Screw that. Singular. Before I wanted to do a production team like this, I actually wanted to be a musician. Off and on, I went back and forth. I never actually got a guitar or did anything. And I always aspired to, like in middle school. Roughly around the time that Projekt Yggdrasil started forming, I had a band in my mind. I was a little edgy. Called it Screaming Sorrows. Also, the name came from Metal Gear Solid. Psycho Mantis and what was her name? Psycho Mantis and the last one, the last boss in MGS4. I'm sorry, guys, I cannot remember her name. It's been forever since I played it.
Listening to this point in the videos, commenting, it's like, oh, how can you not remember?
Oh man, speaking of more MGS influences, oh man, I could just talk about lore and inspiration. There's a lot of MGS inspiration. Especially with a certain wolf character in the fourth game that I didn't realize was an actual butt sticking out of that. I thought it was just a robot. No, have anyone actually seen like the way was it Crying Wolf, I believe?
Yeah.
like how she like gets into that suit. Oh my god, her back would have been like
makes my back hurt just looking.
And then with the butt sticking up, like I look Kojima, like I know you like your pretty ladies and whatnot, but come on, this is a bit much. But yeah, no, I want to do music really bad, but since I have to focus on art and animation, especially for Projekt Yggdrasil, it's taken second to everything else. So that's going to be a long time coming. I want to put out music. Specifically, I'd like to do like the heavier death and black metal type stuff, but I'm open to anything. Like I'm not just dead set on one genre. I love like everything from like hair metal to soft rock. I even like to do a little bit of new metal, in a way, kind of like old school Linkin Park. Back before they actually became Linkin Park, when they were still Zero, like they had a lot of more of a hip hoppy type of feel to it. But my ultimate goal, I feel like if I were to do music, I'd want to do an album other than covers that's loosely associated with Projekt Yggdrasil, along the lines of messaging wise from Wardruna and Amon Amarth, because I feel like those two have been heavy influences on Yggdrasil, obviously because of their associations with the Five Sisters. I said that on purpose this time. But that's all like future stuff. Immediate plans. Pulling
it back, like for probably be a good idea to touch upon. So like how it's right now. Vilisons Productions is a very very small team.
Oh yeah. Speaking of teams, thanks for the cue. I need help, and I suck at looking for help because I don't exactly know where to look. Some things are easier to find. If anyone out there is a 3D modeler, I really could definitely use your help. I'm willing to commission and go back and forth. Now, I'm not going to be relying on 3D objects and models as much as I used to. I just need some good reference materials, mainly for a Hibeo. I have a really cool like spinning 360 character rotation of Hibeo. I did have a really cool mock-up of the GSR in Blender, but it is so I kind of know some stuff in Blender. Actually, a lot of things, early things that I did the past couple of years have been in Blender. I'm looking for 3D modelers for reference material. I could definitely use some help in the art side of things for mainly for background stuff. The boring things that nobody wants to do, like trees and buildings and stuff like that. It's not that I don't want to do it. It's just like there's a lot to draw, and I've been drawing people.
You're a one-man army over here for the visual department.
So like drawing a background, like Stick It Down is going to be the first time I actually fully drew like a scenery, you know, with mountains and trees and water and stuff like that. Clouds are easy to do, I feel. But stuff like that, if anyone's interested in working on the project, I'm definitely looking for a really cool background artist and a 3D modeler. Eventually, when I get to the point, I'd love to see if I can get someone to help out with rigging live 2D models, because I feel like that would be really cool. One, because I really want to like puppet those. Those would be really cool. But you could do so much with
with the software. Yeah.
Oh, so much. Like, I feel like when we get to the point where we can use that type of software, Projekt Yggdrasil is going to get a huge boost in quality, especially if we get more people involved. Because right now, we're just a bunch of friends getting together to make it something cool.
They're trying to make the dream happen over here.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in helping,
actually, it's a good opportunity. In closing here, like tell the audience where they can find you and follow you and stuff, and how to contact you if for the fellow creative types out there that'd be interested in joining along.
If you're in Discord, odds are you're going to be in Dar's Discord. Obviously, I'm Vilison. Well,
you'll recognize him.
Lately, I kind of donned the persona of Vilison the Space Jarl. The number, like Vilison the Space Jarl, #7021. That's my Discord. Follow me on YouTube. It's just Vilison on YouTube. I'm sure we can have links down in the description below.
Yeah, in the description, and I'll probably also have stuff in the video itself too as a. I'll add in post.
And then Vilisons Productions on YouTube is going to be the official Vilisons Productions channel. So Vilison YouTube channel is going to be my personal one. I've been posting a lot of like tests that I've been doing, work in progress stuff, memes. I want to do a lot of memes because it's fun. And then I have a Newgrounds, which is going to be one of my main one. Newgrounds is going to have a lot of my polished stuff on it, polished artworks and whatnot. I don't just do sci-fi and sci-fi horror. I kind of been getting out of the circle and getting into newer art styles and whatnot. I just did a little bat gif of a blinking bat girl. Not from.
It's a very cute bat. Yeah, not that Batgirl, but like a Batgirl.
We can have
it's adorable. You guys should check it out.
Eventually, because there's something else that's got to wait on that Newgrounds. A certain walking related to Alder Rock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll have the commentary video thing on that come out another time here.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we still have to be a little secret about certain things. But up until we start getting things running,
if you get curious, they'll probably go look at that's the thing they were talking about.
I mean, it's not hard.
It's also up on the Vilisons Productions YouTube channel.
Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag, isn't it?
It's okay. Like, like I said, everybody will get the commentary on it at some point here.
Yeah, we have a lot of plans, but whether or not the plans happen is just
it'll happen when it happens. Yeah,
that's literally a motto that when Vilisons Productions gets a studio, my plaque, or not my plaque, but there's gonna be a plaque in quotations of gold. It happens when it happens. Vilison 2021. I know that we coined this last year, so don't at me about the year. I just had a revelation about my age a couple days ago, so I might not be the brightest tool. Or, yeah, see, sharpest tool. Listen to me. But yeah, we got the Discord, we got the YouTubes, and we got the Newgrounds. This is also like my first time interviewing or being interviewed, and it's awesome. Yeah, I try to push you to do more of the podcast style type of things, because
the Darkcast, the Dave experience.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people will like commentary and stuff like this. I'm a bit rambly. I kind of get a little carried away sometimes. I lose my train of thought, so I do apologize, but I'm open and willing to talk about this stuff. If anyone's actually truly interested, in everything, I have another Discord that I've been sitting on for a bit called Edahole. There's this big thing that I want to do about Edahole. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
When Snake Down's released, and we gauge the reaction and whatnot, I'll probably make that public and have people come in and whatnot. I kind of see myself the Dar of art and animation. So it's like, you guys come over here to his Discord and his YouTube channel to listen to the cool covers and the originals that he's been putting out. If anyone's an artist, aspiring artist, don't feel intimidated. Trust me. Like, I love art. I don't care what your art style is. I don't care what your passions are, your hobbies and whatnot. Talk to me. Like, I love to talk about and give some pointers. I'm not saying I'm like the best artist, but no, I really just want to bring people together, like, just all the creative people. It's just fun. You don't even have to be a digital artist. I started off paper and pencil. But here's another thing for all you artists out there, or aspiring artists and whatnot, who's got their own little universe or their own little world, be it fantasy or whatever. I started off with paper and pencil, and then my first digital drawing tool was my Galaxy Note 4 with a little tiny stylus. I did a bunch of Hibeo versions on that. I don't think I did anything like super polished though on the Note 4. Artflow, by the way, if anyone's on using an Android device, Artflow is what I use. Really great tool. At the time, I didn't know a lot about digital art, so I didn't really fully explore it. But Artflow can do a lot. And if you're on iPad, you probably know about Procreate. Now that's a beast. Procreate's a beast. You can do a lot with Procreate. The brushes are really good. You can even make short little animations. But yeah, like, if anyone's got any of that, be it paper, pencil, full sketches or whatnot, send it my way. I love to talk art. Like, I don't have a lot of people to talk about art with, and just seeing other people's passions and other people's, progress, because being an artist is a daunting task, and just seeing how I've excelled in the past several years since I got Dar involved, it's just crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that unless there's any other questions you have pertaining to all that.
I think that wraps everything up. Well, there you have it, everyone. Once again, I've been Dar, and Also, thank you once again for joining me today, Mr. Vilison.
Pleasure to have you. Or be here. That's what I'm saying.
The pleasure's all mine.
Is it? Because sometimes I feel like it's mine, and you just don't know it. Oh my god.
I also want to thank everyone that stuck around until the end of this interview, and I hope you all look forward to what Vilisons Productions will bring in the future. So, until next time.